Hey YouTube, what is going on, guys? War Moose Eternal here, and Season 15's champion mods have been revealed, so the meta is going to shift a little bit. So I'm going to go over my picks for the new anti-champion mods and the weapons I think are going to really shine for this upcoming season inside Destiny 2. And trust me, I think some of you guys are going to be kind of surprised by some of these picks. Some of you guys are going to be like, well, I've kind of figured that one already, genius. But anyway, this is going to really change how a lot of Nightfalls and Grandmaster Nightfalls and stuff is done. So I'm actually kind of excited to see this, and I've broken it down into the best few picks I can. So anyway, guys, without further ado, the next bit is going to be the champion mods themselves. So you guys can take a look and definitely start making your picks for yourself. But these are just going to be the ones I picked. From the ones I picked, I think are going to definitely be the hot items to go after. So anyway, what you're seeing here is the actual mods themselves. All right, let's start with the anti-barrier auto rifles. Now there are a lot of really good options here, but this first one I had to go with the Shadow Price. It's a good, stable gun. Fires really smooth, really accurate. As you see in the background gameplay here, I was able to just lay waste to those war beasts real quick with the gun. Didn't drift very far, didn't move very much. On top of that, with it being an arc elemental weapon, it's going to be good for like arc singe weeks, which is going to be really nice to have. There's a lot of good arc auto rifles out there, but this one really kind of stood out to me because I have a close tie with this gun. Now, as you see here, as I'm going after these Cabal, the gun does not drift very far because it is just that stable of a gun. Very fun to use, very easy to use. Now, there was a lot of really good options, like I said earlier, but I had to narrow it down to a couple. But I do think there's going to be some others that are going to shine, like the Sweet Business. I know, right? Sweet Business. The Seventh Seraph Carbine, the Summoner, the Reckless Oracle, just to name a few. Now, when it comes to anti-barrier weapons themselves, it's going to really be kind of difficult, especially in Grandmasters, because you don't want to get too close to your enemies as you're going after them. So I think this is also where the Shadow Price is going to shine, because you don't have to get really close to them to actually be able to start piercing at the barrier. And on top of that as well, the Shadow Price actually does have a pretty good bit of range to it, which in itself can be quite beneficial to have, especially if you're in a fight where you have to be kind of a distance away. And the sights on it, I really like those sights. It's a diopter style sight, which makes it really easy on the eyes. And going back to the point of there were so many different choices, I had to narrow it down, which honestly I didn't like doing. I felt so bad for doing it, but this next one is going to be a definite, it's going to be a definite kind of shocker to you guys, because this is one of my personal favorite guns now, and it's actually been really good to me. Now, as you see here, I was able to just did a quick comparison test between the two, and the Shadow Price to me just stuck out as a better option right then and there. And the next gun we got is the Chroma Rush, which is a kinetic 720 RPM auto rifle, and this one has heating up and rampage. If you see there where the heating up is active, how the gun just levels out, it does not move. The more that perk is active, the gun just turns into an absolute laser. I cannot stress that enough of how good that perk is. This is going to definitely be really good for like Legend and Master Nightfalls. For like when those barrier champions are trying to move on you, you'll be able to keep your gun on target a lot quicker and a lot better. And on top of that, you'll be able to put a lot more firepower than, say, something like the Shadow Price, or some of the other auto rifles like the Arc Logic or the Reckless Oracle. Now we are going to move on now. We're going to move on now to the Seventh Seraph Carbine. This is another really good pick as well, because it's a slower firing auto rifle, as you see here. And on top of that, it's actually really stable, surprisingly stable. This one was actually brought in Season of the Worthy, along with the CQC-12. I mean, I may have the season wrong, I may not. Just don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that. You see here in the background gameplay, it's actually really easy to use, really, you know, operator friendly, and on top of that, pretty accurate too. So there you go. There's a good pick for that. And going into a little bit more, I'm able to put my shots where I want them to. The sight makes it really easy to get your shots lined up on target every single time. On top of that, if you get a roll like this one here with 4 times the charm and rampage, really, really good in PvE activities. Now, there's a lot of really good rolls out there for this gun. There's a lot that are just absolute kind of bad, but once you find that right roll of the right weapon for you, you're going to have fun. Like this one here, I found it to be an absolute beauty. Now, we have a lot more to go over, so this is going to be a longer video. I am incredibly sorry about that, but I had to make quite a few cuts on it. I mean, as you see here, I mean, even a crossway like that, the range of this gun is actually really, really nice, which is one thing that really stood out to me, is why I picked it. Alright, now next one, unstoppable fusion and linear fusion rifles. This one's going to be one that's going to be kind of weird to me. Now, the plug one really stood out to me, especially the adept one, because you see here it's got the regular mods, and it can use the adept ones like big one spec, which is going to be really nice in like Grandmaster Nightfalls or Master Nightfalls, dealing with some of those champions. The dog that wouldn't leave me alone, so I had to do something to get him off me. Now, with this one having reservoir burst, now is this one here having reservoir burst? I didn't get the clip there. I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna reload it here. Watch what happens when I hit one target. Now, I actually missed on that one, which I kind of feel really stupid about. But at the same time, watch what happens when I hit one target here. Yeah, you hit a target with reservoir burst, it's going to explode. It's going to take out some of the other that's with it. Now, on top of that, if you pair that with something like energy accelerant, the explosion is going to be quite massive. See what I mean there? Now, this is a really nice fusion rifle. It doesn't want to raise too much like some of the others. I kind of panic supered there, so just don't mind that. Which, I love that super, by the way. It's just a giant wall. But I digress. The plug one really stood out to me for that reason, because of, especially the adept version, because of its, you know, adjustability and its adaptability. And it's that this one roll with bottomless grief and reservoir burst. So this thing is absolutely just nasty little fusion rifle. And if you're wondering how I treat fusion rifles, I treat them like a shotgun, which is basically kind of what they are. So that's just something for you to kind of keep in mind for yourself as well if you're wondering how to use them. Now, this next one, the Yoten. This thing is an absolute weaponized toaster, capable of massive destruction. And on top of that, where that shot is going to hit and land, the ground around it is going to burn as well. As you see here, it wipes out quite a bit of enemies. Do a bit of gameplay here with another weapon on the list, the accrued redemption from the Garden of Salvation raid, which I'll talk about that here in a minute. I'm going to swap over to the Yoten here and definitely go to town. And now, when I say this thing does some pretty massive damage, watch this. That right there, that was one shot. On top of that, it gets the damage over time effect as well, which is going to be really good for stunning the unstoppable champions, which is going to make things really nice. I mean, as you see here, this thing is capable of some pretty massive amounts of destruction. This is a special that has the damage of a heavy. Not very many fusions can do that. That Vandal was getting on my nerves, so he had that one coming. But I do digress though. Watch out when you fire this thing, because that fire can hurt you as well. And if you wonder how I'm flying in the air like that, I was actually using line ramparts to kind of get some of those aerial shots in like that. So that's just kind of what I was doing. And a quick little headshot there with the bow, just for fun. Now, going into this more, there's going to be some other options as well. They're going to definitely throw you for a loop. I wanted to include sleeper, but you know, video constraints wouldn't let me. But that's going to be another really, really good pick as well for linear fusion for unstoppables. Now, this one here, 1,000 voices. What can I say except for this right here? That staggering and stunning an unstoppable champion and already doing damage to them, you are going to cause some serious carnage real quick with this gun. Now, as you see here, it's like you point, shoot, and whatever's in front of you, I'm not sorry. Alright, now we're going to move on here and see in the gameplay, doing a little bit of looting here. Super easy targets, and boom. This thing is quite nasty. It can cause some pretty spectacular obliterations and some pretty spectacular detonations too, which is always something fun to have on hand. And it's actually really good for taking out large groups of targets, like you're about to see here. Now, sidearms. This is one that kind of threw me for a loop. This one here, I had to pick the Farewell because it can roll with like full auto trigger system and Adrenaline Junkie like you saw here. And of course, as I was recording, I ran across this guy here, Gunji 339, super nice Guardian. I had to throw that little clip in there of him because I ran across him another time as well. The Farewell sidearm in itself, really good sidearm, as you see here with it being full auto like this. Really stable shooting, really easy to get back on target. But I don't understand though this whole sidearm thing. And on top of that, the sidearm itself, it tracks really nicely. So that was another one of my picks going into this as well, is how easy the weapons are to use, as opposed to say, how hard they are to come by, because by now some of you guys should probably already have some of these. I mean, if you don't, you probably haven't like been playing very long, or you took a break, which is completely okay, completely understandable. All right. Unstoppable pulse rifle. Now this is one that's definitely gonna throw me for a loop. I chose the Outbreak because of the nanite effect that it has, especially with the catalyst of having the disease vector perk. If you watch here, when those nanites start attacking with the disease vector perk, more nanites will spawn on kills, and if the nanites kill an enemy, they spawn more. So you can kind of see the chain reaction happening here. So you can already use that to get your unstoppable shot, stun your champion, and those nanites will start doing damage. And as you keep hitting precision hits with the nanites, they will actually start doing damage as well, along with the shots in the gun itself. So it gives a damage over time and the normal pulse rifle damage. And this thing is actually quite nasty for that little fact right there. And as you see here later in the video, some of the rampages that this gun was causing just from the nanites alone was just completely ridiculous. Alright. Now, that Vandal there was hiding, so he had to get that one. But anyway, let's move on here. Let's move on. I'm going to the empty tank lost sector right now with the Outbreak, just to show you guys what this gun can do. And honestly, this gun, you got it from 0 Hour. You can get it from the kiosk now. And honestly, I would recommend it for that reason. Alright. That captain, he tried to run. Alright, but see there how the nanites were causing him to glow? That's the nanites actually doing damage to him. If you watch his health carefully, you'll see it start ticking down because of the nanites. That's the thing I was talking about. And that swarm right there, when an enemy gets near them, they'll seek the enemy out. And as you see down here, what I mean by the disease vector perk activating, now watch. The thrall's going to come close. He's going to die, spawn more. He's going to die again, spawn more. And it's going to keep a vicious cycle going. Which that's going to be really handy, especially in Grandmasters for weakening enemies. Which I can see that being a very, very big plus. Alright, like these dogs right here. And watch, boom. And as you see there on that one there, how they're causing him to glow and his health's ticking down. That's what I mean, again, by the nanites doing damage already. Which this is going to be probably a very hot pick for Grandmasters and Masters and dealing with unstoppable champions all around. Because not only that, you'll be able to start clearing out ads as well. So it's a multifunctional type gun, which is very good to have. That was an angry swarm of bees right there, just saying. And on top of that, here's what I mean by being able to use those nanites to your advantage. Because when you're able to, you can cause a lot of carnage real fast. Alright. Now, I'm trying to avoid those exploder shanks there. Now hit that Vandal and trigger the nanites. Those shanks are going to get close. Well, they weren't. So I thought. Because what you can do is you can set those nanites up like a little trap and wait for your enemies to get close. Like I'm going to do here. Hit that dog, spawn the nanites, and they'll take care of the rest for me. Except for maybe one or two. Deal with him, and see he's taken down and dead. Now, what's also really good about this well, like when those marauders want to go invisible, you can start getting the precision hits, and they'll light back up red. We made very short work of all those ads except for the boss, which is honestly why I love the Outbreak so much. I'm not a big pulse rifle guy, but this gun is it's one of my favorites. When this thing comes out, it's all business at this point. It is there's no playing around, no joking around. It is all business from here on out. And by the way, the flavor I'm vaping on is called Lava Flow by Naked. Really good flavor. But I digress. We got a lot more weapons to go over. There's going to be some that are going to definitely be a surprise. And I think some of you guys are going to be really happy with some of the picks that I chose. Anyway, the Grid Skipper. This is actually one that caught me by surprise. It's a 540 RPM pulse rifle, and this one has heating up on it as well. And as you saw earlier with the Chroma Rush, the heating up perk activating, and this thing with it being a 540, which is the fastest archetype in the game. This is going to be really good as well because you can start getting the damage in on those champions, as well as having a gun, a pulse rifle that's capable of doing a lot of damage to ads real quick and making very short work of them. So that's going to be something else you want to look for as well. Didn't mean to summon my Sparrow there. Don't mind that. But anyway, close range, medium to long range is actually really nice gun. And this is actually one from Season of the Splicer as well. So that's something else you definitely want to be looking for, or definitely make sure you want to have in your inventory or your vault, either or, to have ready. Now there's a lot of other pulse rifles, but those two actually made the cut. The rest of them didn't. Like I could have included the one from Garden of Salvation, but I didn't because I wanted to include these. As you see here, when the heating up starts activating, this thing is an absolute nail driver. But, and by the pulse rifle, I meant the Sacred Providence. I forgot the name there for a moment. Please forgive me on that one. I'm so sorry. But like I said, just run around the Tangled Shore, getting a test, getting some footage of the weapon and trying it out. Actually, I fell back in love with the gun. It is just that fun. Because if you time your shots just right, it's just like an auto rifle. It is that fast. The only other pulse rifle that is that fast would have been the Claws of the Wolf from Iron Banner's Fast, or the Time Worn Spire, which that one was going to make the cut, but this one edged it out because of the perk availability of it. But Time Worn Spire is a kinetic 540 RPM pulse rifle, which is, I think, the only one in the game to this date. But this one edged it out because it's still got the 540 RPM, but it's an elemental pulse rifle, which is going to be double handy, especially on like Void Singe weeks. But I digress. We still have more to go over, so just hang tight. And we're gonna have some good stuff for you. Now, Overload Bow. This is gonna be one that's definitely gonna really be kind of a challenge for me because I'm not a bow user. But the Accrued Redemption from the Garden of Salvation raid. This is a really nice bow. I'm not a big bow person, but this is probably one of my favorites. Really easy to shoot. This one actually has rangefinder and rampage, which is a really nice setup on this bow. I like it. I like it myself personally like this because it's really good in PvE. You start stacking that rampage damage and you'll be able to stun the champion and do some extra damage. Reloading my Yoten there. And because there is a lot of other really good bows, but this one won, along with this one right here. This is going to be one that's definitely going to catch people by surprise. The Monarch. As you see here, it actually shoots poison arrows. Think of it like Thorn and a bow and arrow form. Alright? Now, the only drawback to this bow, as you're seeing here, is you have to fire it at the right time to get the poison arrow effect. Otherwise, it just turns to a void bow. Now, as you saw there, when that poison hits, it will actually spread out to other enemies as well. But that one enemy that it gets hit by will take a damage over time effect, which is going to be really good as well, because once you say you stun your Overlord champion, you'll start being able to take damage down onto them, take them down a little bit easier, which I think is going to be a really, really nice feature to have, especially for like the higher tier content like Nightfalls, some raids even, like Grandmasters, and possible, seasonal content when it comes dealing with champions, which honestly, this right here is going to be a really, really highly sought after bow because of that reason as well. But people did ask me, what about Leviathan's Breath? What about Arsenic Bite? I chose this one because of the fact that you can do damage over time and still be a viable exotic for your exotic slot, and still have some pretty good range and accuracy to it. I mean, as you see in there, it's pretty accurate bow, and I mean, at that point there, I was actually starting to kind of get a feel for how to shoot it, because like I said, I'm not a bow person. You see there, I held it too long. There, fired, and that would have been the poison arrow. That's the only drawback to this bow. Now, we're going to move on here. I'm going to skip past it. I'm going to get through this little section here, because I was running through the empty tank again, just getting getting a feel for the bow and getting a feel for the weapons again. I'm around these dogs up here, and I'm going to try and take them out with the Monarch. Alright, jump down, jump back up. Now watch. See, poison arrow. I missed. Alright. I missed again. You see, didn't get the mark that time. That one there would have been a poison arrow. And now watch, I'm going to hit this guy up here, which I hit this guy up here with a poison arrow. And for some reason, they like to jump when you hit them. Alright. Now, the shanks are going to come out here, and I'm going to try and take them out real quick with the Monarch. Sadly, I didn't get the poison effect that I wanted to get, but I digress, though. It's still a really good choice of a bow. And people ask me, oh, what about Biting Winds? Biting Winds was going to make the cut because of its availability and ease of acquisition, and it being a kinetic bow. But I saw there when the poison hit that one dog, it started taking his health down and took him out. That's going to be another really good option as well, especially like I said for champions and ad clearing. If you can chain your shots right and get that poison spread across other enemies, a little taunt there. Now watch this little spree right here of just hitting them constantly with poison arrows. And on top of that as well, the Marauders, this is actually a really good anti-marauder weapon, because you'll be able to light them up and you'll be able to see where they're going. Alright, hit him. I find it funny when they jump like that. I don't know why. I find that kind of comical. Keep lighting him up. If you watch his health ticking down, that's the poison damage right there. Me insta-kill on the shank there. And another insta-kill right there, because I was trying to get the poison arrow. He was going to work on him. Now, at this point here, I actually lost the boss. I'm going to go up there and have a little, showdown with him. Kind of hiding there because because that shrapnel launcher hurts. Not even going to lie on that one. Missed there, like a noob. Pop once right in the face and let the poison do the work. And thanks for playing. Now, swords. I don't know what mods are going to come with swords, but there's some really good options out there, like your Fallen Guillotine, which is a really good sword. The Solar Scar you can get from Trials of Osiris. And, of course, the Crown Splitter, the mighty Crown Splitter. Because, I mean, here. That was one hit. Okay? And, of course, you know, doing some more testing. Swap back, and, you know, use a lemon arc there, take out quite a few ads. Come up here on this ogre, and I'm gonna lay the law down on him real quick. Now I could see this being another really good option as well for dealing with overload champions or maybe anti-barrier champions, because with this sword paired with one particular mod from this season, you don't have to worry about overloads or anti-barriers. You can just one-tap them with the heavy attack. I know I was having a little fun there after a successful public event. A little formal greeting there. And of course, you know, Gunji again, super nice guy. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. I really hope you guys got some good ideas of things that I would be going after myself. And hopefully this gave you guys some ideas of stuff to go after for yourself as well, for your own arsenal for coming into Season 15. Because who knows what's going to happen in Season 15 now with the meta shifting like it is. It's going to make Grandmaster a little bit harder, a little bit easier. Who knows, really? But anyway, guys, I thank you so much for coming by. If you got any sort of value out of this, please like, subscribe, share with a friend. You know, if they're like wondering what to use for Season 15, send them this video. And also, guys, if you look down the description below, if you use that code, you can get Maw Energy, and it'll help me out as well in return. Which I'm going to switch over to that because it's a little bit cheaper and a little bit more. And it seems like it's going to be a little bit more effective for me. So you guys are amazing. Let's get this channel up. I mean, 55 subscribers. Come on, let's go. Let's take over the world. All right. So anyway, you guys take care. Stay safe out there. God bless every single one of you, and y'all have an amazing day.